I'm Bukola Aladesulu. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. So I will be sharing my story and my idea worth sharing. I'm a fan of storytelling, and I believe that greater stories happen to people who tell them. So I'll be sharing an idea with the title, The Heart of Becoming. The Heart of Becoming. There is this very popular question that we ask while growing up. Our parents, our teachers, and our guidance see this question as a very important aphorism to prove their responsibilities. I'm very sure that every one of us seated there, we've been asked the same question. And that question is, what do you want to become? You see, people ask this question, what we want to become, as if becoming is a destination and not a process. The first time I was asked this question, I was roughly 12. I remember that I responded to my mom that I wanted to become a newscaster. Because prior to the question, I had watched this very brilliant, beautiful lady cast news on Lagos State Television TV. She was so gracious and articulate while casting the news, and I wanted to become like her. Months passed. I was asked the same question. At that time, I wanted to become an actress because I had fallen in love with Korean movies. You see, my dream at that time was that I was going to travel out of the country to Korea to become the first black Korean actress. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to have a black Kim Nana on your screen? Again, this question was asked. At that time, I have grown love and flair for reading. And I was reading Ben Carson's Gifted Hands at that time. And I fell in love with medicine, just like every typical Nigerian medical student. Believe me, every one of us has read Ben Carson's book. That is the reason why many of us are here today. So I responded that I wanted to become a medical doctor. This passion persisted and remained until I stumbled across another work. That is John Maxwell's work. And I fell in love with his heart. I wanted to become a writer. And because I have already found passion in medicine, and I didn't want to give up my aspiration as a medical student. So when you ask me, what do you want to become at that time? I'll tell you that I wanted to become either a writer or a doctor. But as I grew older, I realized that I could be both. In fact, I could be many things, whatever it is that I want to become. I have realized that the narrative of our becoming does not have to be that of a single story. You see, if you want to limit a people, show them as one thing, as only one thing, over and over again, and they will become it. They will not just be limited. They will think that is everything that they can become. So when you ask me now, what do I want to become? I'll probably respond to you that I want to become a billionaire. Because that is the closest and the easiest answer that I can give you. Another example of becoming is in embryology. During copulation, the male releases over 80 million sperms. Now, these sperms innately and immediately compete to be the one to fertilize the egg. Now, the egg, on the other side, has its own chemical preferences. What in layman word I can call spec. The egg is choosy, just like its producer. So, naturally, we all know that the egg has only X sex chromosome. And the sperms, rather, can either be a X sex chromosome or Y sex chromosome. Now, with the help of some chemicals and hormones, the egg chooses whichever sperm it wishes or preferred. Now, if the egg chooses an X sex chromosome sperm, it becomes a female. If it chooses a Y, it becomes a male. This is to indicate that even as an embryo, we choose what it is that we want to become. I have noticed a trend in my life that whenever I want something, at that point, it could be hard or it could seem impossible. But as time goes by, I begin to see answers. Trust me, the answers are not usually immediately. They come along the line, the same way with becoming. I can't count the number of times that I've always wanted to be something, and when I finally become it, I do not even notice. This is because of how gradual the process of becoming is, and that is why our mindset is very crucial, the intentionality to become. And oxymoronically, the reason why it is in fact risky is that you do not always see it coming, no matter how intentional that we are. It just creeps up on you, and then we start asking, how did it happen? Example of this is me standing right here. I cannot count the number of times that I've wished to be a TEDx speaker. I can remember that the first time I would listen to TED Talk was that of Chimamanda Adichie, We Should All Be Feminists. And I remember that I also stumbled of this artist, M.I. Abaga, Why We Should Not Be Divided. And I remember that of Britta Fredrickson, B.J. Miller, Angelique Kidjo. And I would wish that I was the one standing in their place and sharing my story. Now, the funny thing is, when I was accepted and invited as one of the speakers, it didn't really occur to me how much I have wanted this opportunity until I started writing my manuscript. In our process of becoming, we have to be aware of our choices and the energy that we are putting into the world. We live in an ongoing process of responsive conversations. Personally, I want a conversation about solution and being in the state of love. I believe in the heart of transformation, where you become aware of the woman's story forming around us in our modern world, becoming more aware of what would be our next indicated steps that would create a pathway to constructive and creative change. I want peace within. I want to become a positive force in the living transformation of our modern society. I want to be an active part of our evoking sense of solution in the process. It made me to carve a niche for myself. A niche where competition is almost impossible. Now, I can say that I'm a writer with 2 books, I'm a paramedical student, I'm a Texas, I'm a delegate of so many corporate bodies, both international and local bodies. This shows the fact that I have written so many narratives to my becoming, and I'm still writing. Now, what happens when we refuse to take charge of the narratives of our becoming? We become caught up in other people's narratives of their becoming. Many of us, many youths in this generation are so pressured by other people's stories of their becoming. 2, we remain complacent to any narrative given to us. You see, becoming is like a character build-up in the fictional book. Whatever story that you write around a character, it becomes. We are all a product of our choices. Now, one beautiful thing about becoming, and this particular idea that I want to share, is the graciousness of becoming. Becoming is gracious because you can choose what it is that you want to become. Becoming is gracious because you can also change the narrative of whatever you want to become at any step, at any time in life. So like every other side of a coin, what happens when every one of us decide to take charge of our becoming is that we all become an evolving human working process. We will be able to deliver our individual gifting to the world and hopefully use this gifting to enhance the universal society. We all become individual translators of energy and live in the process of intentional attempts to operate in the flow of daily manifestations unfolding. Paying attention to our individual actions, the vibrations of energy we put in and that we put out. We all become positive forces in the living transformation of our modern society and are active parts in the evolving process of change making. And this is the art of becoming. Thank you.